Okay, welcome. Happy 2023. Robin Sachs and I, Lindsey House, are so excited to have you today. We are transitioning from something we were doing last year with this ABC Success Series, where we were coming at you with different letters of the alphabet and giving you coaching advice from those letters. This year, Robin and I are opening up this ability to provide a free coaching platform. And we're going to come out once a month with a half an hour. And it's an opportunity for you as listeners to come in and utilize a Robin, who is a mindset and confidence coach, and myself, I'm an accountability coach with a health dietitian background. We're coming from two different areas and here to provide this kind of like double coaching impact for you. And you can come on and get coached for free, which is honestly unbelievable. I don't know if we'll offer this forever, but we're going to do it for now. And to jumpstart this, Robin and I thought we're going to use each other for a minute for this session. And I'm going to try to be super vulnerable and ask some like harder questions on my end and let Robin coach me. And then kind of as we keep going through this, we'll flip flop. But that way you can experience coaching and just be the fly in the corner, just kind of fly on the wall, watching it all go down, or speak up. Say something in the comments and Robin and I will do live coaching right here. So hi, Robin.
Hi, Lindsey. Happy New Year.
Oh my goodness. Happy New Year. So good to see you. We fell away for that last month together. And now I'm like, yay, we're back.
Yay, good to be back. And Lindsey, yeah, what a wonderful setup. Thank you for that. And, just sometimes people go, well, why are you doing that? Why are you free coaching? And, as passionate and professional coaches, both of us, I personally cannot tell you how many times I've had clients who, once they started working with their coach, said, I just always thought about it, or I've thought about it for a long time, or I've thought, is that a real thing? What even is that? Or is that like therapy? I didn't know really what to expect. And once I said, let me give it a shot, and you realize that the beauty of a coach is they are 100% vested in you. They have no reason to be otherwise. And so their entire goal is to figure out what's going on, what's getting in the way, what's going well, and to help you go, okay, you see that detour you keep hitting and hitting and hitting? Let's go over here and go past it now and then go forward. And you go, wait, I didn't. So a coach, I kind of think of, a sports coach, right? The head coach on a football field is certainly not the best athlete. They are not the best at anything. Every player on that field is more talented and probably football smart in the moment than them. So why are they running the show? It's because that person can look out and see what's going on and see things you can't. And they can say, here's something I'm seeing, let's adjust. They're catching on to this, let's go this way. They're strategizing how to get you a positive outcome.
Yeah.
And that's what a coach does. That's why they're called coaches. So, think about it that way. And the reason Lindsey and I wanted to bring this to you was to be able to give you an idea. If you've ever thought about coaching, if you've never thought about coaching or hiring a coach, working with a coach, here's an easy, free way to just learn a little about how it works and how quickly things can be figured out and you can move beyond things, which is amazing. So coaching is not therapy. They are two very different things. And a good coach will always say that's beyond the scope of what we can do here. Here are my suggestions to maybe go somewhere to get additional resources or additional people to talk to. But coaches, would you agree, Lindsey? Coaches pretty much see things that you can't just because you're often so in the weeds that once we pull you out and say, let's try some of these things and put a plan in place and hold you accountable, they help you realize how much you can do. And that's the thing I love about coaching.
Yeah. Yeah. I was thinking, you keep using the word resources, and I love that because coaches, one, can keep introducing you to other resources too that are invaluable. But seeing that perspective, I actually have a quick example with that. I was talking to a client the other day, and she was like, I'm still not I'm still not meeting my vegetables. Like I'm not making them. And I even like something as simple as canned green beans in my cupboard, but I'm not eating them at night. And I don't know why. And I was like, so I know that you don't like to waste food. What if you opened your green beans in the morning before you left for work and put them in a container in your fridge? And then that way, when you go to dinner, then you just open them. And she was like, oh my gosh, I'll do it. And I think this is where people get a little caught off guard is they're like, do I really pay for somebody to help me talk through those conversations? And the answer is yes. Because guess what? She ate vegetables that night. Like, I think that we get so caught up in why would I pay for somebody else? I know I can do this. Yeah, Robin and I know we can do stuff too. But when we talk it out together, guess what? It gets done faster, more efficient. Like, that's the beauty of coaching. And you started to say that too. It's the expediting the process. I could get there in a year, or I can talk to Robin and get there in a week. Like,
Right. And literally, that's not even, it's amazing how quickly once you have outside perspective and someone who's outside perspective again is all about your winning or you're getting it right or you're being able to make something more efficient, more effective, easier, whatever that is. And so often as human beings, most things are easier than we're making them. And so I look at part of a coach's job is to go, how about we get rid of all this minutia, whether it's self-talk, whether it's stuff you're telling yourself that isn't even real, whether it's 7 people have told me 7 different things, so I don't know what to do. Legit, right? That's valid. I'm overwhelmed because I have too many inputs. It's about, okay, there may be 7 ways to do this. What I want to do is help find the way that works for you. Because if so, I don't care what the other 6 are. If those help other people, that's phenomenal. But how can we make it easy? Because if we make it easy, we make it doable. And if you make it easy and doable, you're so much more apt to just step into it and do it. And then you go, for 6 months, I have had so much stress and wasted time and wasted energy and wasted money sometimes just sitting with this. And all of a sudden in a week, wait a minute, all that's off my list now?
Yeah.
And so that is the power of coaching. And that's why we're calling this power coaching. And that's why we want to introduce you to coaching in a very benign way where you can take a look, you can see us today, you can see real people all year long because we'll pop on every month and we'll have real people coming on for free coaching. So if there is anything that you would like to have 2 professional coaches work through with you for free, we're doing this every month. So feel free. We've got some slots left. And we can talk more about that at the end, how to let us know that. But for right now, why don't we pop in, Lindsey, to a little bit of coaching again, just to start to kind of get the ball rolling as to what does this look like to help you get where you to be?
Yes, I was going to say, let's pretend, this, because a lot of coaching is virtual nowadays, which is a beautiful thing. If somebody was watching you and I would have entered your coaching room, whether that's Zoom or something like StreamYard, and you would start with, how would you start a coaching session, Robin?
So if it's our first time, usually it would be, Lindsey, so nice to virtually meet you. I'm Robin, of course, and I'm really looking forward to working with you.
You as well. I feel like I've just really had some hangups and I'm excited. I was wondering if we could kind of hit a couple different focuses today, and then you can tell me if I'm on the right track, or maybe you can point me in the right direction with some homework today.
I'd love to. And just to expedite our session today here, as we're sharing this with you, I might get just a touch back into, have you ever worked with a coach, or, what made you decide to say, let me go ahead and work with somebody, maybe just some general background type stuff. But again, not a huge deep dive, because we do want to get right in, because most people know what they're struggling with in that moment. And the quicker we can get to that, the faster we can get to, do we need to dig a little deeper? Do we need additional background info or some additional things I might ask questions about? But once people come in and say, here's what I'm trying to do, let's get right into it and start there. So I'm going to throw it to you, Lindsey, and say, all right, so what's going on? Throw something out.
Yes. Another quick side note would be, like, Robin and I probably would have already had some form of paperwork done or pre-conversation that we do know this person slightly coming in. It's not normally cold turkey. So Robin, this is like truly me. For anyone listening, I'm going to throw out my real roadblocks sometimes. I'm going to start with I've noticed this word come to my brain and I feel like it can be a big barrier for me. Time suck. And the reason why I feel like this is a barrier for me, it's like I can start to research something. And then the second that I feel like I've been sitting at my desk too long, or like, let's pretend I'm watching a YouTube video, I find myself like fast forwarding because I feel like it's taking too long. But like sometimes I think that's good because I'm not spinning my wheels where shouldn't be. But other times I don't know when it's the right time to like settle in and it's the research time, or when it's a true time suck or a rabbit hole. I'm struggling with that.
Yeah. So first of all, you are not alone. You are not alone. And just knowing, first of all, how many distractions we have more things to distract us than we have things to focus on these days. And that's the truth. And our brains, it's this weird thing because our brains kind of love those rabbit holes, but at the same time, our brains don't like chaos. And so they're always looking for a way to make things work better. And so there's almost like this built-in dilemma that's going on with all this distraction. And so a couple of things. You mentioned YouTube. Are they usually social media type things? Whereas I go in to look at something and an hour later I realize I'm still looking. Are they over researching? And what I mean by that is I do need to go do some research on something I'm working on, or I want to do something in my personal life and want to learn more about it, but I can't stop. I don't feel like I'm ever ready. I have to keep going and get to one more thing. Or is it just a general sense of when I go do something, I just want it to go faster. It's like the 3-year-old in the backseat. Are we there yet? Are we there yet? Are we there yet? Those are kind of some very normal situations that create time sucks. Do any of those resonate, or is it something else you can pinpoint?
No, I love these questions. So I would say, here's my current example, is I know I am lacking in knowledge in the SEO department. So like for my podcast, or even for something like this, like using the right verbiage so that you're actually getting viewed, like putting in the time and effort would like it to get viewed at some point. So, and I feel like SEO feels like such a rabbit hole to me because I start a video and then I'm like kind of getting it. And then there's another one that pops up and it's like, it's overwhelming. And so then there's like a paralysis moment of then I just stop.
So, all right, so let's go with that for a moment. And as a business owner, as somebody who has something you're promoting actively, you are probably in the 100th percentile because everyone's doing that same kind of thing. We're struggling with that. And here are a couple of thoughts. And one of the things that I like to do is take what we're talking about that seems to be a challenge or a time suck in this instance, and we're going to pull that out of the mix for a moment. Because sometimes we so overthink things when we get into a rabbit hole that we miss the concept of it's a lot simpler than we're making it. Now, please don't, if you're an SEO professional, I'm not saying don't do this at all. By the way, there are amazing SEO professionals, which sometimes that could be the thing. If it's taking so much of my time that I could be devoting to something else that might be revenue generating or creating something more positive, either in my life or my business, or even just de-stressing, right? It could be something to grab a third party. Lots of great people hop onto Fiverr or something like that and look for people who work with SEO and even SEO and podcasts in particular. And you might be able to invest in someone else to invest in you, and it's off your plate. So that could be one option to do that and just take it away. And the second thing is let's pull that idea of SEO off the plate completely. So if there was no such thing as this SEO concept, the people that you would like to have listening to your podcast, in other words, the people you think it is a value to and you think it definitely would help, tell me a little about those people. What words would you describe to that those people might fit with those people?
I'm so glad you're asking this question today because I want I'm getting coached, everyone. This is real. This is me getting excited because I love coaching and I know Robin's going to have. Okay. One of the words I've been working on narrowing down my verbiage for my niche. and I have 2 words, and I don't know if I'm loving them, but I work with moms and grandmas, I would say, for the most part. And my 2 words that I keep coming up with, like, I serve or I work with midlifers or second half women who are ready to start loving their bodies or stop hating their bodies. I feel like stop hating sounds too strong, but is it polarizing? And ready to transform their body and their brain. It's kind of like where I'm rolling with this, but the midlifer, like, I have all components that I'm still not loving about trying to tell you my niche.
All right. I love it. So here, and know that in a coaching session, one of the things a coach might do is, and keep in mind, it's never judgment, it's always awareness. So sometimes a coach might say, so tell me a little more about, for example, midlifers. Because a lot of times in business, it makes sense to us, but that's my term. Nobody's going to search that term. Somebody's going to search, hey, I'm a 57-year-old woman who really wants to get in better shape, right? Or finally get off of dieting and learn to just eat better and move the right way, right? Yeah. So if I'm thinking of it from that standpoint, because the whole thing with SEO, and again, correct me if I'm wrong, SEOers, please, I can learn too. The whole thing with SEO is, what are people looking for stuff like you going to put in to a Google, right? Or a Pinterest or wherever they're going to look. So a lot of times in business, we have great terms and ways we describe ourselves and who we do things with, stuff like that. For a long time, I was a self-talk coach, because so much of what I work with people is self-talk. That's what confidence and mindset is all about. What's going on up here, not what's going on outside of you. Yeah. But I realized nobody's really looking for a self-talk coach. Nobody would ever put that into a Google, for example, or go into LinkedIn and search that, because they don't realize it's their negative self-talk that's causing it. What they're going to go in is say, how do I feel less stressed and more confident, right? Mm-hmm. So sometimes we love our terms, but from an SEO standpoint, what are the simplest things that people are going to put in, right? Mm-hmm. Or I'm a mom. I love the mom and grandma part, right? Mm-hmm. So I like to sort of dumb things down instantly to just go, we can use a bunch of words and terms that are awesome, that resonate within our audience or within our membership or within our groups, those types of things, once they're in there. But before they get in there, they don't know that they're that person. Right. So sometimes SEO is great if you go, there's no such thing as SEO. Who needs to find me? Moms, grandmas who want to never diet again, who want to learn how to take care of themselves better, who want to, have the rest of their lives with a body that they look in the mirror and go, not so bad. Right? It doesn't even have to be, yes, I love it. Right? Yeah. Human beings don't do that, right? Yeah. Ever, no matter how perfect you might be in whatever you're trying to do, there's always something we find wrong. So, you know what? Are you a wife? You a mom, a grandma, whatever? You a middle-aged woman who wants to look in the mirror and just go, I like what I'm seeing? Mm-hmm. Those are great things to kind of put out there from an SEO standpoint. And so sometimes we dig so deep, and the challenge with digging deep and getting in the rabbit hole is it never ends. Right. And so I might go, okay, here, I found these 5 things I'm going to make sure are in all of my communications now, or on the website, on my posts, on my whatever. I'm using my keywords, but everyone's going to change or go, well, that's an overused word, right? And now it's kind of diminished, even though it might be spot on. Mm-hmm. Right? It might be also a thing where people don't really know what that is. It's a cool word, but they don't know what it is. It might be, hey, these are great words, but so is this word, and so is that word. And now I've got 20 words, and what am I doing? And who is it? Who is your audience? Only using words that describe them, and what would they sit down at a laptop and type in? If they're not things they would sit down and type in to a social media of any kind, to a Google or a search engine of any kind, you're probably not going to find me as often as you could. Mm-hmm. So I always like to think of it as when you're doing SEO or even writing a presentation, right? Or a script, or you're putting wording on something or writing an article or a post. I always would invite and encourage people, Don't ever create that as a creator. Create it as a reader. Don't create your SEO as the person who is trying to find people or trying to find the people who would come to me. Sit down and go, I'm that person now. What do I open Google and type in? Those are the perfect words usually. When I do a lot of coaching with public speaking, and 100% of the time, here's what happened. They'll come in and somebody might be starting to read, and it's obvious they're on a script, right? Something memorized, and we want to have you ditch the script is one of the biggest things. And they'll go through and say that, and they're like, and I don't know how to say this. And I'm like, well, what are you trying to tell them?
Mm-hmm.
The next words out of their mouth are the perfect words. Because you ditch the script and get out of presentation mode. You go, well, what I want them to do is move to this new software. Because if they do, their life is going to be so much easier. They're going to do their reports faster, and they're going to do this, and then they're going to whatever. And then we get the bonus at the end of the year because everyone understands it and it doesn't get held up. Then why
like,
didn't you
bingo.
say that?
Yeah.
That's the thing. So SEO to me is almost script-like, and it's ditch the script and go into who do you want to talk to and what would they type in? Those are your perfect SEO words. So I'm going to leave that at that. Again, if there are SEO people who want to chime in, I would love that and invite that, because I'm not saying that's not important. There's a strategy, and people who do that well do it so, so well. You don't have to do it and be a master at it to get your people to find you. You need to actually talk to them like they would be talking on there, or use the words they're going to type in.
Right. And so what I think is so good about this too is while you are talking and I'm hearing what you're saying, I feel like coaching also gives dedicated brain space to some questions you've been asking yourself, right? So like, Robin, you just bringing up, maybe this is something that you hire out, is a great entrepreneurial question. Like, you can spend 10 hours a week or 5 hours, and is that the best area that your time is to be spent? It's kind of like, is cleaning your house the best area that your time is to be spent? Like, where is your money making? And if that's not it, then hire it. So thank you. Like, I always feel like, I don't know why that's kind of an obvious thing, but it needs to be shouted sometimes. And then as I'm also hearing that, I'm like, maybe there's, and I'm asking you this, maybe there's a settle in process on it of like, kind of go through the homework that you're saying and come up with those buzzwords that I feel like people would be typing in. And then maybe I settle into once a week or a pocket of time, whether that's soccer practice or like car line or something like that, is my only time that I'm allowed to watch a YouTube video on it, so that it's not creeping into my workday.
Yeah, that's an awesome, I'm a big fan of scheduling things just like you would schedule any other appointment, any other commitment in your calendar. And sometimes I have little things in my calendar sometimes that are, a 15-minute block that I put in my Google Calendar that says, go look at social media, because I know I want to do that, but I have a specific time, boom, my little assistant tells me when to go do that, and then it tells me when to stop. Yeah. And I find that setting up those little, you can call them boundaries, you can call them accountability cues, or whatever you want to call them, or just your little assistant, right? You don't have to think of those things. Let something else tell you, go do the thing you want to do, but we're going to limit it. And what happens is we often, like if you say, hey, if I'm sitting in line waiting to pick my kid up, I have X number of minutes, or I'm going to sit here for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15, 20, whatever. I can go park and guess what? Or get in line and I'm sitting there, hop on and go. And what we find is you're so much more focused, and it's hard to go off on tangents when we go off on, because there's an end time. It's something else is happening. So I can't continue. And what happens is we tend to get much more focused when we have an end time to whatever we're doing. And what I mean by end time isn't just, oh, well, I said I was going to be done at 2 and it's 2. No, because we're going to let me just look at one more, right? But actually putting those things on top of something else that comes up, that once your kid's in the car, you got to put the phone down and go, right? You don't have a choice anymore. So getting in habits like that is great, because you don't have to feel like, oh, I I did it again, or, oh, I'm so bad at this, or, oh, I went down the rabbit hole again. Oh, I wasted another hour. And we beat ourselves up about that. Give yourself a chance for a positive outcome. Stack that thing right before something that it's over because you can't do it anymore. And your brain will get really used to jumping into stuff like that, focusing while you're there and getting out.
Mhm.
The other thing that sometimes is helpful is I sometimes, when I want to learn more about something and educate myself, I hold myself accountable for learning one thing. And once I've learned one thing, I have to turn it off. I can
love
pause it
this.
and go back to it tomorrow,
Mhm.
or when I'm sitting in line, waiting for whatever. But as soon as I've learned one thing, I've gotten what I needed to do out of that, and I've stopped. And I can either take that and go, whoa, I never thought about that, and go do it or try it
Mhm.
or apply it. Or I can go, whoa, I can't wait to learn more, because that's not something I'm going to jump and do something with yet, but that's a great thing to know. And
Mhm.
what happens is, when you decide I'm only going to learn one thing, that's what I have to do. It doesn't matter if there are 7 amazing things in that video you're watching for 20 minutes. So
Mhm.
you get to learn something every day for the next 7 days then. And guess what? If you've learned something that resonated, stop and go try it, apply it, do something with it. Because what happens often is we write down the 7 things after a video, and then what do?
It sits there.
It sits there. It
Yeah.
becomes what I call shelf help instead of self-help. We put it on the shelf and we never touch it again, right? Because now it's almost overwhelming. Well, I could do this and this and this. I have so much to do.
Yeah.
Or I don't know where to start. And so the smaller a thing you give yourself to do, the quicker and easier you're going to do it, and you can move on to the next thing. And
Yeah, and I
so,
think that you just described that time suck image in my head perfectly. Like, my big worry is always diving in, like writing all this stuff down, getting it, and then if I don't use it, that is a time suck. Like, it just went somewhere and not using it. So I'm loving the learn one new thing. Okay, and so since we're doing this like power coaching, if someone was wrapping up with Robin right now, my thought would be, if you were to send me away with goals right now, like maybe I could investigate an SEO company. Who did you mention? I'm going to write that down. You had somebody that, or
you know
like,
what? I was just suggesting, go on to like a Fiverr or something and type in SEO expert or SEO professional, and you'll have a whole bunch of people that you can look. And again, that can become a time suck too if there's like 300 people.
right.
The idea is, look at ones, start with the top few. And if you see something that resonates with you for whatever reason, don't question, go ahead and reach out and just say, hey, here's what I'm looking for. Can we
Right.
have a quick conversation or an email discussion, whatever? And then again, like anything else, if you're present in the moment, you get a feel about something. Whoa, I can see this working, or I'd like to give this a try with this person, or what, this person isn't a fit for me, and that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
So, I encourage you to kind of be present and not just think, I need a person. That person's got 5,000 people they've worked with. This one only has 200, so I better go. No, that's not a good way to do those things. Get a feel and reach out.
Mm-hmm. Because that
And
even
give
counts
people
as the learning one new thing. Like the second that you've talked to somebody, you've learned something. Well, you've learned something that you like or don't like about the process. So, yeah. Okay. So I feel like goal number 1 would be doing a little investigating that direction before Robin and I would meet again. And then, as I had brain space to think through as you were talking, I feel like I could settle into the learn one new thing per day. So my time pockets would either look like treadmill time at the gym. I can throw up something on the screen, or car time, or a soccer or like a sporting event. So, and one of those happens every day. So, and then once I've learned my one new thing, I shut her down and keep going. And honestly, I think those 2 bullet points for me are like, and I think this is where our listeners need to hear, it's normally plenty. And that's kind of the benefit of getting to pull back on your coach in the next week or 2, because I don't need Robin to send me off with 10 things. I'm going to get overwhelmed.
Yeah. Right. And part of, oftentimes, the reason that a coach can be helpful is they actually take your 10 things that you've been trying to do and make it 1 or 2.
Mm-hmm.
And now we can take another couple. And now we can take another, and now your 10 are done, but you were trying to do 10 things all at once. And oftentimes it's, well, where do I start? How do I prioritize? Oh my goodness, just look at this list. I'm already overwhelmed. I haven't even done anything. And we're completely paralyzed, or we're at least in our own way now. And we're just cycling. We're just circling through things.
Mm-hmm.
And then we wait to be motivated, which is a complete, please don't wait to get motivated. Action motivates you, right? Don't, we do that backwards too. So, but we wait for stuff like that. And it's like, stop waiting. Talk about a time suck. Stop waiting. Pick one thing and go do it, and then stop. And then you go, whoa, that was easy. And now it's easier to go do another thing. Oh my goodness, that was so easy too. Break things down into little tiny doable chunks, and they are simple. And I will use that word. They are simple, because we're often making things much more complicated than they actually are. And that's a great thing to know.
I don't know about you too, Robin, but I feel like after a conversation like this today, it's like I've almost been given permission to go make that focus, or like, you can go do that. And for whatever reason, I'm more focused when somebody else has given me the little like, yep, this still like is on your path. You're still going in the right direction. You're not squirrel braining, but we've reduced down the times in which you're allowed to work on this. So that's where coaching can be huge too. I think a lot of us need permission to like make the workouts happen, because I'm going to check back in with you. Let's see how that goes. So, okay, we're really trying hard to stick to our time today. It's so hard because I could talk to you for hours, Robin. But that would be an example of a power coaching call. And again, we're going to be pulling people on. We've had a little bit of concern about discretion, of like maybe not wanting faces on or even names on here. And Robin and I can work around that. You can give us your questions ahead of time, would be one way you can come on and you're just a voice. So something like that might work really well. Just please don't not dive into this with us because you're worried, like, I'm on LinkedIn. I don't want my other professionals diving in and seeing me be vulnerable. We'll work around that. That's not a concern. We'll make sure that you're, and then there's some people who are like, no, I don't care. Great. Then we'll pull you on live with us and all as well. Anything else on your end, Robin, before we wrap up?
No, I don't think so. And you know what? And I don't want to, I guess two things. One, I know that the title today, there were two topics we had thrown out there. So we will go ahead and do that other one next time, just so that we cover that. So stay tuned, and we will talk about the money story you're telling yourself as an independent professional. And we'll talk a bit more about, boy, how do I make sure I'm not underpricing and undervaluing myself, but at the same time, not pricing myself in a way that the people that I do want to serve can't reach me. And so we'll talk a bit about that and share some of our experiences, both of us as independent professionals as well, who have done a lot of those types of things. Yeah. And I guess the only other thing is, Lindsey, where would be the best place, do you think, for people who say, yes, I would love to hop on and have free power coaching one of these sessions? Where can they reach us?
I would say, Robin, you always say you live on LinkedIn. Do you feel like messaging you on LinkedIn would be okay?
Absolutely. Yeah. So feel free, find me on LinkedIn, Robin Sachs, and yeah, shoot me a message. Absolutely. You can also find me on my website. You can send me an email or something if that's easier. And that's robinjsachs.com.
Perfect. I'm going to kind of throw out similar. House Lifestyles is my tag name on things. So if you're on my Instagram or my professional Facebook page, House Lifestyles, and you can just send me a message, or my website is healthaccountabilitycoach.com, all one word. So
nice. And we have 11 slots available at the moment. We have a couple of them that are filled. So pop on in, let us know if there's a month that works better for you. Let us know. We are here on the last Thursday of each month. Do I have that right, Lindsey? Okay, the last Thursday of each month at noon, from noon to 1 Eastern time. So if that is of interest to you, let us know. And if it's one of those things where you're like, I really would love to be one of the people who gets power coached, but that time does not work for you, or that day, we can maybe make arrangements where we go ahead and record that ahead of time. So we'll work with you.
Good.
We'll make it happen. All right. Yeah. Lindsey, so good seeing you again. So good being back in the mix with you. I love it.
Thank you. You too.
All right.
Have a good day.
You too. Talk to you in February, everyone.